Hello, 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 and welcome to our limiting beliefs coaching call. I am super duper excited to be doing this with you guys tonight. We've got a couple grads in the house with us, as well as some new people. So, this is a great mix of energy. For those of you who haven't been in Soul Rising, this is a fantastic example of the kinds of things you can expect in the course. And for those of you grads, this information is actually being presented in a way that you haven't heard yet. So I'm really excited to have something new for you guys as well tonight, too. So, with that said, what are we going to be doing tonight? What can we expect? So, we're going to go through an overview of our subconscious. We'll talk about what are limiting beliefs and how to break free from them. We're going to do the benefit of the benefit exercise, which is a three-step exercise or a three-phase exercise, I should say, to actually break free from limiting beliefs and install new ones in their place so we can finally make change in our lives. And we'll talk about why that's so important. We'll talk about how to find your expansive belief, the belief that you want to install instead, and how you can reprogram your subconscious, as well as why that's so important in the first place. And then we've got an opportunity to dive in even deeper, and we have a really exciting giveaway at the end of today's call. So if you are interested in a really big giveaway, be sure to stick around until the very end. Today's call will be about 90 minutes, like it said in the course description. So I hope that you have your journal and are ready to dive in. Now, of course, before we do that, for those of you who are new, I would love to just take a minute to introduce myself. I'm Isabel, the director and alchemist for Moon Rising and one of our co-facilitators for our Soul Rising Shamanic Reiki course. I'm a Shamanic Reiki practitioner and facilitator. I don't love the word spiritual coach. I think there's a lot of stigma that comes with the word coach, so I prefer facilitator because I'm here to help you find the answers and wisdom that already exists within yourself. I'm just here to facilitate that process. But I root my practice in psychology and neuroscience. I'm a bit of a science buff. I love quantum physics and psychology and biology and neuroscience and all of it, and I love to bring that into my practice. I personally have healed from really deep grief, childhood trauma, PTSD, numerous autoimmune and chronic illnesses using both spirituality and science. And so today I am passionate about bridging the gap between the two, between spirituality and science, to help other people on their healing journey as well. Some of my current passions that I'm exploring in my practice are somatic healing and nervous system reprogramming, rewilding, connecting to nature as we were built to be connected, subconscious reprogramming, you guys will get a taste of that tonight, and reconnecting with what is sacred. I am also, of course, a human being, so when I am not in my shamanic Reiki practitioner and facilitator role, I'm also a human who loves reading and gardening and traveling. My most recent travel was to Alaska, where I'm actually planning on moving next year. So, a bit of a change coming up for me in my life. And pottery. I am a hobby ceramicist, and I love that it combines all four elements into one craft. It's fantastic. I would love to know a little bit more about you, whether I know you really well or you're new to me. So, please, please, please put your name, a fun fact about you, where you are in the chat so that we can stay connected as we go. But with that said, let's dive right in. And I want to set up the foundation for tonight's call for the work that we're doing by talking about the stories that we tell ourselves. So, in shamanism, which is again the root of my practice, the root of what we do here at Moon Rising, shamanism teaches us that our life, our experiences, the way that we see ourselves and the world, the way that we interact with others, all of it is the product of the stories that we tell ourselves, of the beliefs that we hold, right? So, shamans are typically seen as the medicine men and women that the tribe would go to receive medicine, to go on a journey, to have a soul retrieval, to have some kind of spiritual ritual that brought them into a healing space, right? But what the shaman's primary role was within a tribe was actually that of the truth keeper. They were kept separate from everyone else because it was believed that there was what they would have called the original instructions, the aligned way of living life, of being connected to ourselves, to nature, to the divine. And shamans were the truth keepers because they knew that our illnesses, our insanity, as they would have called it, is often the product of telling a story that isn't aligned with spirit, that isn't aligned with the divine, with truth, with whatever you want to call that. And so when someone was brought to the shaman of the tribe, what the shaman was actually doing was looking at where are the stories that you're telling yourself, the beliefs that you're holding, where have they fractured, where have they broken, where have they strayed from that inherent, aligned, true space, right? So they understood that healing happened. It was a natural byproduct of what happens when we bring our beliefs back into alignment with the divine, back into alignment with that inner intuitive soul led knowing, right? And so, whether we realize it or not, pulling this from the shamanic understanding into more of a psychological understanding, right? Whether we realize it or not, our life, the actions we take, the way we view the world, the way we interact, it's all based on the scripts or the programs or the stories that are running in our minds. And 95% of those are subconscious. You guys have probably heard this. The subconscious is a bit of a buzzword lately. And today we're going to talk about why. So, the subconscious mind develops between birth, so from the time you're born, to ages 6 to 10, depending on which field of psychology you ask. And during this time, your brain is creating a framework for how to quote unquote accurately view yourself, the world, and your place in it. And the reason that I say quote unquote accurately is because the way that your brain is creating this framework is it's taking information from every single one of your experiences as a kid and it's interpreting the situation, what it meant, what it says about you as truth. Right? So, this is when every experience you have, every opinion that a parent says to you, every message that you receive from a teacher, etc., get turned into a fact. So, that time that your mom was getting ready and you had a question for her and she said, "Not now, I don't have time for you." Your brain did not have the capacity to say, "Oh, mom's busy right now. I should ask her later." Your brain heard, "I don't have time for you," and interpreted that as a truth. So now there's a piece of your subconscious map, of your subconscious framework that is built around the idea that the world doesn't have time for me. I take up too much time. I'm not worth the time. However, your brain interpreted that. And the reason that it does this is because this subconscious map that we're creating is designed to tell us how the world functions so that we know how to act in relationship to everything happening around us. And so when mom says, "I don't have time for you right now," the brain says, okay, if we want to be successful, if we want to get what we want, if we want to have our needs met, we need to live around mom's truth that there's not time for me. So I need to make myself smaller. I need to take up less space. I need to be really conscious of what I'm asking and when I'm asking it so that I can be successful, right? Your subconscious is just trying to keep you safe and create a framework so that you understand what to expect about the world. But I want you to take a minute and think about all of the range of experiences that you have from the time you're born to the time you're 8 or 10 years old. That's a lot of experiences and a lot of comments from friends, teachers, parents, etc that are mostly based on opinions, right? One of the most common ones that I love to go to is our opinions about money and work. How many of us are told things like work hard, then play hard, or you have to work before you can take time off, you have to earn it, money doesn't grow on trees, hard work is how you're successful, etc., right? All of this messaging that tells us that money is hard to make and we have to work really, really hard for it. And how many of us now feel like that is true? It just feels objectively true. And that's because it was a belief that was given to us when our subconscious mind was forming. And every belief that we were given became a truth, quote unquote, an accurate truth to our subconscious mind, right? Does this make sense? This is how our subconscious map is formed. It's just our brain taking in data from our surroundings and making a framework for how the world works according to our past experiences. So that as we walk through our future, we know what to expect based on those past experiences, right? And so, in this, what are the limiting beliefs here? Limiting beliefs are beliefs about ourselves, others, and the world that restrict us from reaching our full potential. They are false beliefs that we take on because of past experiences, and they are often formed to keep us safe. Okay, so these beliefs are things that, again, let's take that money doesn't grow on trees, right? Something that so many of us have heard. When we hear that as a kid, we take that on as a fact about how the world works. Money doesn't grow on trees. You have to work really hard to get it. scarcity mindset. It's imprinted in almost every single one of us from the day that we are born in some way or another, right? Now, as adults, maybe that belief of I have to work hard to earn money is keeping you in a job that's toxic because it makes you the right amount of income. Maybe it is pushing you into burnout because you feel like you're not working hard enough to earn the money that you're making. Maybe it's keeping you from pursuing a dream because you feel like having a job that you love doesn't count as working hard, and your subconscious is kind of pushing up against that, right? There are so many ways that our beliefs change the way that we interact with the world, change the actions that we take. And a belief becomes limiting when it holds us back from reaching our full potential. Now, how do we know what our full potential is? That's entirely up to you. But I always like to say a belief becomes limiting when it hinders us from following the voice of our intuition, when it hinders us from believing that we are worthy, that we are capable, that we are guided to do the things that our intuition is calling us to do. If we run up against a belief, when we're in that process, that's a limiting belief, right? But limiting beliefs do just that. They limit us. They may be here to keep us safe. They may be here to help us be successful because, again, they're just part of that subconscious map. But they really do just limit us. They keep us stuck in cycles of self sabotage, constriction, cognitive dissonance, emotional turmoil, all the things, right? So let's talk about this in a metaphor that I have been loving lately in terms of your subconscious house. So we've been talking about your map, your framework that all of your beliefs fit in, right? But think about it like this. If your subconscious map were a house, the house that you're living in this human lifetime is determined by the walls that you have built, the structure you have built in your subconscious mind. And every one of the walls in your house is a belief. It's a belief system that you hold in your subconscious about how you think the world works, about how far you are still safe to walk, about the rooms and spaces in life where you are safe, according to your subconscious, right? Some rooms in our subconscious are going to feel spacious, welcoming, like they are built for us. I'm sure you can think of an area of your life. Some common ones are relationships, finances, career, health and wellness. Let's see, fun and play, these kinds of areas. Typically, we have one that feels really, really stuck and heavy, and one that feels really spacious and lovely. So think about that area in your life that just comes easily, that you don't really have any anxiety around, you don't really have any limiting beliefs around. It just comes easily, right? That's a room in your subconscious that you have built to your taste, to your needs. You've kept updating those beliefs, you've kept renovating the house as you've aged. But then other rooms are going to feel cramped, outdated, and uncomfortable. Those are the rooms that are built by our limiting beliefs. So think of that like coat closet where the ceiling's falling in and it feels really tight in there. What's that area of life for you? For a lot of people, it's career or finances. Those are two big ones. For some people, it's relationships, right? So, that area of life where we have a lot of limiting beliefs, where the walls are way too tight, they're crumbling, they're outdated, and it just feels uncomfortable in that room, right? So, this is the framework that we're going to use for tonight, this idea of our subconscious house. So let's talk about when we're in that constricted room, when we're in a room that is built on limiting beliefs and they get triggered, or we're holding on to them, or we don't know how to work past them. What happens? Why is it so important that we're working through these limiting beliefs? First of all, limiting beliefs set the stage for self sabotage, right? So, again, our beliefs are here to keep us safe and in what is quote unquote known based on our past experiences. And when we're stuck in this net, when we're kind of locked in our house, if you will, this is when we feel a little bit trapped. And when we try to step out of our comfort zone, when we try to open a window or open up the door and step out of the threshold to get a new perspective, to try something new, to go after that job that we've wanted, or to ask that person out on a date, we have now stepped into the unknown. We've stepped into what the subconscious has labeled as not safe because it's not something we're familiar with from the past, or because our experiences with it in the past have been registered as dangerous, harmful, scary, etc. And so our subconscious is throwing up red flags, and it's going to try and pull us back. It's going to do everything it can to pull us back into the house where things are safe and everything's known, and it might not always be comfortable, but at least you know where all the walls are, right? Limiting beliefs also keep us stuck in the past. Our subconscious programs were built in the past, again, ages 0 to 10, although they are constantly changing and updating if we know how to work with them. But the limiting stories that we brought with us, especially from our childhood, keep our consciousness and our nervous systems stuck in the past because every limiting belief is like a little node in your nervous system. It's like a little checkpoint in your nervous system where your mind, your subconscious is constantly scanning your environment, the people around you, the things that are being said are constantly being scanned to see, is this similar to something I've experienced in the past? And if we have experienced something that our brain and our nervous system interprets as similar, it's going to either say, oh my gosh, no, terrible experience, run away. Or it's going to say, yeah, okay, this situation's okay, but don't go any further, right? And once we get to that point where we're either in the danger zone or we're about to step into the unknown, that acts as a trigger for our nervous system. It pushes us into fight or flight, it pushes us into an anxiety response or even a shutdown response. And instantly we're taken back to the moment where that limiting belief was first created because our nervous system is still stuck there, right? One thing that we don't talk about though is that limiting beliefs also disconnect us from our intuition. Okay, so our intuition exists beyond the mind, right? Our intuition doesn't come from our mind, it comes from our soul, our spirit, our connection to God, universe, source, whatever you want to call that. It comes from the divine, from something bigger than our human component, right? So it comes from beyond the mind, beyond what is known. And when we try to connect with the intuition, when we try to receive messages from the divine, when we try to get downloads or intuitive knowings or inspiration, we are reaching beyond where the mind is comfortable. And we're throwing ourselves right back into that self sabotaging cycle because suddenly, even connecting with your intuition feels unsafe to the subconscious mind if we don't know how to walk ourselves through the process of showing our mind, showing our nervous system that the unknown can be safe, that it's okay to step out, to connect with our intuition, to have new experiences, right? So, something as simple as a limiting belief, right? Quote unquote simple, is pulling us into self sabotage, keeping us stuck in the past and in our own limited or uncomfortable cycles, right? Maybe it's keeping us stuck in the same emotional triggers over and over and over again. And it's also disconnecting us from our intuition, right? And so, if we're holding on to limiting beliefs, and you are the kind of person who, like so many of our students and community members, are saying, I just wish that I could connect with my intuition more. I just wish that I had a better relationship with my guides, or that I knew what nature or the divine was trying to say to me, or I just can't seem to get past this situation without having this anxiety come up or this anger. And I just seem to be sabotaging myself every time. It's like nothing's working. Chances are it's because there's a limiting belief, because look at all of the ways that these are impacting our lives even though our limiting beliefs are stored in the subconscious, which means we aren't even aware of them until we take a moment to do something like this class, to sit with ourselves, to get curious, and to look at what's happening in that subconscious house, right? So, we're going to take a moment here to talk about being triggered because, again, it's a big buzzword right now, right? So, triggers are the moments when we have hit a wall in our subconscious house, like we were talking about. So, it's like you're walking through your house, and in the course of living your life, whether it's a conversation you had with a coworker or a sign you saw on the side of the road or anything in between, you're living your life, and suddenly you've hit the edge of your comfort zone. You have run into a wall in your house and you've tried to push past it. You've tried to see what's beyond that wall, right? And when the wall doesn't budge, when you're still pushing up against this limiting belief and it doesn't magically stretch when you're trying to go into the unknown, it stays put because it's trying to keep you safe. That's when we start feeling stuck, anxious, trapped, triggered, right? So our triggers aren't a bad thing. And this is something that I would love to kind of untangle from all of our minds because, again, it's something that we are told over and over and over is that our emotions, especially our strong ones, are a sign of weakness, of failure, of not having enough self-control, right? But all our triggers are is our nervous system signaling where our current subconscious walls are. It's just signaling, hey, you've reached the edge of your house and it's time to decide. Do you want that to be where your house ends or is it time for a renovation? Right? Our triggers, those moments where we have those big emotional responses, are just our nervous system saying, hey, you have reached the edge of how you've done things up to this point. And you're now at this kind of pause point, this yield sign, if you will, that your nervous system is holding up, saying, hey, here's how you've been doing it before. If you take one more step, you're going to be in the unknown. Is that where you want to go? Are you comfortable with that? It's just your nervous system trying to help you. And so when we can take this perspective, when we can understand that our triggers are just a sign that, hey, we've reached out and touched a wall in our subconscious, we immediately are claiming our power back because we realize that there's nothing wrong with us for being triggered. That's part of being a human being, right? But we can now recognize them as a sign of, oh, hey, there's a wall here. Let's get curious about it. Let's see, is this wall helping me? Is it supposed to be there? Is it a good wall to have? Is it keeping me safe and protected? Or is it confining? Is it outdated? Is it ready to be broken down and renovated so that this room actually feels more welcoming, more expansive, more safe, right? So I'm going to take a drink of my tea here, and I'd love to know in the chat if you have any questions or thoughts so far. Beautiful. All right, so let's talk about it. Let's talk about renovating your subconscious home. Okay, so just like a real house, our subconscious house can be renovated thanks to neuroplasticity. Some home renovations, just like replacing a window or a small limiting beliefs, these might be limiting beliefs that you picked up later in life. Like, let's say you had an experience when you were 16 that really changed the way you viewed yourself or the world. That's a limiting belief that got added into your subconscious house. But unlike the ones that we pick up in childhood, it's probably not structural. It's probably not integral to the structure of the house. It's more like you put a window seat in the bay window, right? It's pretty easy to take out. Those renovations can be easy and quick. Maybe you go through the process that we're going to talk about today once and you feel better. But if an entire room needs to be expanded, like the limiting beliefs that we've carried since childhood, right? Like, let's say that our entire room around how we view relationships needs to be renovated. This is a big one for me. It's a longer process, but it still can be done. And it's important to understand that just like a house, we each have one to three, but often one primary belief that is the foundation that every other belief is built on. Dr. Gabor Mate, if you haven't read his book, The Myth of Normal, highly recommend, talks about how we each have a core assumption about ourselves that as we were building this subconscious home from the time we were born to the time we were 10, all of those beliefs boil down to this one core assumption about us. Oftentimes, it's a negative assumption because, again, our subconscious is here to keep us safe. There's no point in keeping us safe if there's no danger. So often, our core assumption is built off what we perceived as dangerous. So for me, my core assumption for years was that I am wrong about everything. Doesn't matter what my opinion, how I approach relationships, the words that I use, the way that I teach. I am wrong. Everything's my fault. That was my core assumption. And that was the foundation that all of the other walls of my house were built on. So even though I had some walls, like my career room in my subconscious house has always been beautiful. I've been really blessed to not have a lot of limiting beliefs around career, but it was still built on that foundation of I am wrong. So even if we have little renovations that we want to make, like that window seat in the bay window, we might also notice that as we're doing that quick renovation, it brings up that deeper core limiting belief. And oftentimes that core limiting belief is something that you work through for a really, really long time. Because again, it's the foundation. That's going to take a while. Just like a home foundation renovation, it's going to take a while to really update that. But regardless of this, subconscious renovations, no matter if it's one of the light and easy ones or the deeper, heavier ones, happen in three main stages: awareness, disassembly, and restoration. So let's look at these. This is a great place to start taking notes, okay? Because this is going to be the framework that you're going to use, hopefully every day from here on out, to understand how to work through your limiting beliefs. And I encourage you to find your own words for each of these stages because it's going to give you a deeper connection to this process. So instead of just taking my words, find your own as we're talking through this. So first up, we have awareness. This is when we are able to reach into our subconscious to use a technique like the one we're going to use tonight to bring that 95% unconscious framework into the conscious mind so that we really understand what are we working with here? What's the story? What's the belief? What's the script that's running? This is when we're making the subconscious conscious. And we do that by noticing our triggers, noticing the emotions as they come up, and getting curious about them. So when we get triggered, instead of saying, oh my God, why are you doing this? Just get over it already. I thought we healed this, and shoving it away, we're going to say, no, oh, interesting. I've hit that wall again. I thought I had moved it. Let's take a look and see what's going on here. Right? Awareness is when we restore power because instead of feeling powerless, because the stories we're telling are in our subconscious and we're not even aware of why we're feeling or thinking the way that we are, when we take a moment to get curious and bring that into the conscious, bring that into our conscious awareness, we restore our power to say, I'm not that kid anymore. I'm not that younger version of me who thought they had to take on this belief as a fact or a truth about life. I'm now an adult who can make a choice. I have a choice in if this is the story that I continue to tell myself. So, awareness is the first step to healing. And then we have disassembly, right? So this is when we discover the roots of this limiting belief, the roots of our story, and we start to really understand the why. Why is this the story that I'm telling myself? Where did this come from? What is the benefit? How is this impacting my life? When did I first pick this one up and what purpose is it serving? Right? Every belief that we have, limiting or not, at some point served us. It at some point kept us safe, kept us connected. There's a reason that we have that belief in the first place. So, disassembly is when we're kind of picking it apart. We're pulling apart that structure and saying, tell me more. Where did it come from? Why is it here? Why has it stuck around? Why has this room in the house stayed and not just crumbled, right? We are going to unsubscribe to that belief in the disassembly station. This is where we again say, I'm an adult. I can recognize this story. I can witness it for all that it is, and I can let it go. I can choose to believe something else, even if that choice has to happen 5 times, 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times, right? Depending on how deep that limiting belief is. But every time you choose differently, every time you disassemble and unsubscribe from that limiting belief, it opens up space in your nervous system, in your subconscious, in your energy field for the restoration stage. This is stage 3, where we clear away the dust that gathered when we were in that disassembly stage. We clear away the construction dust and we use that power of choice. We use our power to choose to complete the cycle, to show our nervous system, look, this limiting belief isn't something to be scared of anymore. I can look at it, I can witness it, and I can say, it doesn't have to be true anymore. I can choose something different. We complete that cycle because here's the thing. A lot of people will stop at disassembly. They will stop once they know what the limiting belief is, why they have it, what the story is. They'll stop there. And they think, okay, I had the awareness, I know what it is, I know where it came from, now I can choose differently. But they never actually get to the choosing differently part. They never actually take the time to put a new belief in its place, to think about the best case scenario instead of the worst case scenario, to complete the cycle for the nervous system. And so, what the nervous system registers that as, if we just leave it there, if we discover, oh, here's the limiting belief, and then we let it go, our nervous system still thinks that that belief is something to be scared of. But when we put a new belief in its place, and we write a new story and we tell ourselves the new affirmation, that's when the magic happens because repeating this process and putting in that new limiting belief or new expansive belief is what rewires your subconscious. So, again, this is what you're going to wash, rinse, repeat. You can come back to this webinar as many times as you want to tap it in, to do the whole exercise again if a different trigger comes up, to sit in this beautiful energy of expansion, to remind yourself of the choice that you made to believe something different and feel, notice right here, right now, the difference in your energy. It does not matter if tomorrow that same trigger comes back up because you have made a difference tonight by feeling the way you feel right now. By doing the work, by putting in the new limiting belief, by bringing this new energy into your energy field, something has changed. That neural network has started to grow. You have made a change tonight. And you might have to remind yourself of that. The renovation's going to continue, right? It might take some time, but you have started today. You've made a huge step, right? So now that you've had a taste of working with your subconscious and your limiting beliefs, I want to pause and ask you, how are you feeling? Did something shift for you? Did you have an aha moment where you saw your patterns more clearly? I'd love to hear your biggest takeaway over in the chat. to hear how true that expanded belief feels, to feel or to hear how you're feeling right now. If you're feeling more expanded, if you had an aha, if you're feeling hopeful that you can actually make this renovation, that you have the power to make this choice and see it through, because you do. I would love to celebrate with you. So put that in the chat. And here's the thing, here's what's so powerful, because once you understand your subconscious map, your house, and you know how to rewrite the stories that have been running your life, you reclaim your power, you reclaim that choice, right? And suddenly change stops feeling so impossible and it starts to feel inevitable because you're going to knock down a wall, things are going to change, right? Things are going to expand. You finally can live a life aligned with your soul's purpose instead of your mind's fears. And yeah, it's probably going to take more than one 90-minute webinar, but if you keep doing the work, if you keep showing up, that change is going to light you on fire. It's going to show you the way forward. And it's going to, again, let you live a life that's aligned with your soul's purpose instead of your mind's fears, because those limiting beliefs aren't in the way. And so this exact exercise that you learned tonight, this container that you entered in, it's one of over 35 tools that we share in our Soul Rising Shamanic Reiki course. And it's part of the reason that so many of our students experience transformation, right? So one of our students actually told me that this exercise was the moment when they realized that she was no longer trapped in her old stories, that she had the power of choice. And I could just feel the freedom in her voice. She was tearing up. She was saying how incredible it was, that this was her top takeaway. And that's the kind of transformation that happens when we combine the subconscious reprogramming and the shamanic healing and the spiritual energy work and the sacred self connection and everything that we've talked about tonight and more. It is the perfect recipe for transformation and magic and joy. Everything we want in life, it's completely possible, right? Becky said she's feeling more calm because of it. Keely said it was so timely and important, right? And now she had this challenge tomorrow morning and she feels ready for it instead of scared. This is the work, you guys. This was 90 minutes. Imagine what happens in, multiple times of doing this work again and again, right? So I do just want to tell you a little bit more about Soul Rising before we get to our huge giveaway. I promise I won't keep you very long over. Thank you for staying with me. Soul Rising is a 4-month journey into subconscious reprogramming, nervous system healing, energetic harmony, intuitive connection, all the things. So, through a blend of shamanic Reiki, spiritual coaching, or facilitation, like we talked about at the beginning, guided journeys, and community support, we learn how to rewire the subconscious patterns that are holding you back by using techniques just like this one and really implementing them. We learn how to regulate our nervous system so that we can feel at peace in our bodies. We awaken our spiritual gifts and learn to trust our intuitions. We heal our past traumas and reclaim our power. We connect with our spirit team, our support team, through shamanic journeying and connecting with our spiritual gifts. And we actually receive and learn how to use energy healing that's grounded, practical, and actually life-changing, right? So not just something that feels good in the moment, but something that's going to stay with you. And this program isn't about following a guru. Lord knows I'm never going to tell you I have all of the answers. It's about reclaiming your own wisdom. Just like tonight, you were the one who found the answers. You were the one who did the healing. You were the one who made the choice. Soul Rising is designed to remind you of who you already are: powerful, wise, connected, this amazing being who has the medicine within you to live the life that you love, right? And our students have done things like healed from PTSD, depression, anxiety, and chronic illness, reclaimed a relationship with their inner child and released years of trauma, manifested abundance to pay off literally all of their debts. We had a student pay off $60,000 worth of debts just by doing the work. It was wild. Launched successful businesses, reconnected with passions they have buried for years. We had a student who is now a competitive horse jumper. There's a word for that, but she does competitive horse riding now. She did it when she was a teen. She hadn't done it for like 30 plus years, and she got back into it because of this course. Learn to love themselves deeply, unapologetically, actually, not just saying that like a little Pinterest quote. Connected to their guides, their spiritual gifts, and spirit in ways that they never thought possible. There are all kinds of testimonials. I'm going to switch screens here really quick. There are all kinds of testimonials on our websites from amazing individuals sharing their story of how doing this work actually changed their life. And again, not just in like a Pinteresty cute way, but in like an actual change. So I'll put the link in the chat here in just a second for you guys to go check out their stories, right? Because it's more important you hear it from them than from me. But I want you to take a minute if you are thinking about Soul Rising and imagine yourself 4 months from now feeling the way that you feel right now after doing this 90-minute exercise, but turned up to 10, feeling grounded, feeling confident, feeling connected, feeling free, right? That's what Soul Rising is here to do. And again, not in a salesy way, but in a true way, because we built this course from the tools, the techniques, the wisdom that Christine, Chantel, and I all actually used in our own lives to heal, release, and transform. The three of us teach this course. We've poured our souls into Soul Rising because we've been where you are. We've had the limiting beliefs. We've had the trauma. We found what worked for us, walked the path to our soul's purpose, and we've put everything we learned into this course so that you can do the same and find that wisdom within yourself. So here's the important part. Early bird pricing does end on Sunday night, and after that, the price goes up by 11%. So if you've been called, this is the time to book a call with us. We've cleared out some of the subconscious baggage that's keeping your intuition on the down low, standing in your way tonight, right? So now's the time to tune in and notice, is Soul Rising for you? If you are feeling the call, let me know, right? And to make it even better, just because you guys have done such incredible work tonight, if you enroll before Sunday, I'm also going to give you access to our Reclaiming the Sacred Self masterclass as a bonus freebie gift. This was a 5-week masterclass that Christine and I just taught, covering somatic healing and polyvagal theory and reclaiming the sacred and self-connection and our sacral chakra and manifestation and all kinds of stuff. So if you're still not sure, if you think, yes, Soul Rising is for me, but I'm not quite ready to jump the gun, you can book a discovery call with us. And if you book it within the next 24 hours, we will hold early bird pricing for you no matter when your call happens. So even if your call is next Wednesday, we'll hold early bird price for you so you don't miss out. So overall, you have 3 really fantastic reasons to say yes to your intuition, whether that's just looking at the sales page or booking a call or sticking around for the giveaway or enrolling while early bird price is still live. You've got early bird, you've got the free masterclass that you get, and of course, most importantly, you can hear your intuition saying yes. So I'm going to pop the link in the chat so that you can look through it, look at what we're offering, and enroll. We've got a few grads on with us. Becky said that it gave her the courage to move. It was an amazing course. Stacy said that she loved the support we gave her and didn't feel like she was alone and that she found her tribe. So check out the course. Learn more about what it's all about. Book your free Connect call here. Read some of the amazing testimonials and enroll if it feels called for you. If you have questions about the course, leave them in the chat. I want to run over some of the most common questions, and then I promise we'll get to our giveaway. So Soul Rising is 4 months long, but we do take a week off for Thanksgiving and a week off for Christmas because we want you guys to have time with your families. Actually, we take 2 weeks off for Christmas, now that I say that. You will get access in the course to pre-recorded videos to watch every week, along with a workbook in case you're more of a reader or a writer. We really try to tailor the course to all the different learning styles so that you get everything out of it that you want to get out of it, no matter what your learning style is. So for every video, for every guided meditation, there is a written workbook that you can read and journal prompts to help you integrate it all. You also get guided meditations, activating actions, bonus videos, etc. You watch the weekly content on your own time, and then you join us for weekly support calls to seal it all in and implement what you learned. So, the second part of this call, where we were workshopping your stories and we were going back and forth in the chat, that kind of thing is what you would experience in the live calls in Soul Rising. But you'd be unmuting, you'd be on camera, you'd be sharing your stories, we'd be workshopping it, talking it through, doing a technique, going on a journey, implementing what you watched in the pre recorded videos, answering your questions. The course is about a 3 to 4 hour time commitment every week total. You can spend a lot more time in the coursework than that, but that's the minimum. So 3 to 4 hours. It's not a lot, it's totally manageable, but it's definitely still a commitment because we do deep work in this course. That's how we actually make the change. Our live call schedule is tailored toward your availability. So you fill out a poll when you enroll and tell us when you are available, and we schedule the call so that everybody can come to at least one live call. So no worries about, is it going to work with my schedule? We will make it work with your schedule. And of course, you also get access to a private group chat. A personal mentor, myself, Chantel, or Christine, will be assigned to you as a personal mentor for your entire time in the course. And you also get a Shamanic Reiki certificate at the end. So those are all of the goodies. Like I said, we're here for you. I love this course so much. I could talk about it for hours, but I want to be really respectful of your time. So just know that we tailor your course experience to make sure it is exactly what you need. This is really not just a one size fits all thing. We give you over 35 plus techniques and teach you all of the different things and all of the different topics so that you can figure out what works for you, what's going to give you that insight and wisdom that you need and awaken the gifts that you already have within you. So, if you have any more questions, let me know in the chat. But make sure that you at least click on the link to learn more, to enroll tonight. Again, if you enroll before Sunday, we'll throw in the Reclaiming Your Sacred Self masterclass, and you'll, of course, get early bird pricing. Or if you're not sure and you want to talk to a human face to face, book your free call with us. Again, if you book it in the next 24 hours, if you schedule your call before Friday night, we will hold early bird pricing through you for you, even if your call is after Sunday. And thank you truly for the honor and privilege of your time. It is such a joy and an honor to get to share in the energy with you guys, to get to watch you guys doing the work, to hear your stories, to hear your beliefs, to watch your transformation. I would love to hear your top takeaways. If you have questions in the coming days, feel free to message me on Facebook, on Instagram, send me an email at isabel@moonrisinginstitute.com. And of course, I would love, love, love to see each and every one of you in the Soul Rising class. Like I said, we've got some grads in here, and I'm sure they'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. But you guys did incredible work. It was such a joy to get to share this incredible technique with you. I cannot wait to hear how it goes for you, hear how you keep tapping things in, keep doing your subconscious renovation, keep applying this idea in your life and actually seeing the changes from when you do the work. Sending you all so much love. Bye, everyone.